Hi, this is Tom R. of Village Church, and we welcome you to Village Connect. So in this session, we're going to be talking some about the practice of gratitude. So I want you to find the Bible and read Luke chapter 17. You'll begin with the 11th verse and read through the 19th verse. When you have finished that, come back and we'll get the conversation started. So, what does it take to make you grateful? You know, sometimes gratitude comes to me so easily. I bet it does to you. There are some days where it's just so easy, and other days gratitude seems to slip through my fingers. It's not something that feels very close. And what's more confusing is I can't always tell what it is that causes that sense of gratitude. My friend Michael Linvall, retired preacher, he once said that there's actually not a very clear correlation between the gratitude that people feel and the reasons for which they have to be grateful. I think that's right. And so I wonder, what does it take to make us grateful? Well, you read the story. Jesus is on the way and he encounters a group of 10 lepers. Now, you know about skin disease in the ancient world. It was contagious or feared to be contagious, and so there was stigma with it. Those with leprosy, they were pushed out of society. They were isolated, quarantined, and so they were kept away from their community, their social structures. They were lonely. Jesus encounters a group of 10 of them. They cry out, "Have mercy on us." And Jesus says, "Go show yourself to the priest." Now, he's not pushing them aside. He's not getting rid of them. In that day, it was the priest who had the authority, if you will, to deem that you were clean, that you were healed. It was the priest who could admit you back to your life, to your community. He said, go through the process, go show yourself to the priest. And it says, along the way, they were healed. And then one comes back and he falls at Jesus' feet and he expresses gratitude. And Jesus says, your faith has made you well. Now, you might think that's a common occurrence for someone to express gratitude to Jesus, but this is actually the only time in the Gospels where anyone expresses gratitude to Jesus for anything. And you might wonder about that, and Jesus did too. He said, "Were not 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Well, we don't know, but we could imagine, can't we? I mean, maybe they had gone back for a joyful reunion with their families. Maybe some of them had gone to check in with an old boss. They wanted to see if they could work again. Maybe others were just with friends or just caught up in the wonder of having this day of being healed. We don't know for sure. We just know there was only one who came back and cast himself at Jesus' feet and said, "Thank you." And Jesus says to him, "Your faith has made you well." It's interesting because the text is clear. He's already been healed. So what does Jesus mean now? Your faith has made you well. If we look at the Greek text, the word that's translated to be made well is sozo, and sozo can be translated made well and is on occasion, but its predominant meaning is to be saved. What Jesus actually says to this man is, your faith has saved you. Can gratitude do that? In a sense. I know this. I'm a happier person when I'm grateful. I'm more at peace when I'm grateful. I am in better relationship with those around me when I'm grateful. Gratitude does change us. And so it's important for us to figure out what it is that made this man come back when none of the others could find their way. What is it that drew this man back to Jesus? Unless that's it. What I mean is, maybe it's not his reasons or what's in him. Maybe it's just the fact that he came back, that he practiced gratitude, that the choice to live out gratitude. It doesn't really tell us what he felt. It doesn't tell us what the others felt. It wasn't about their feelings. It was about his practice. I think that's important. Gratitude in our lives is not something we're always going to feel, but it is something we can practice every day. I have a friend, Carla. She's a pastor in Virginia. She says that the practice of their family at mealtime in the evening is she and her husband and her 2 children, they say their evening prayers at the table, and each of them, they express something in the day for which they are grateful. It's just their practice at dinner time. I love that. And she says, but sometimes in the rush of getting the food to the table and getting homework done and meeting the evening demands and whatnot in the stress of the day, she said, sometimes I'm not sure our prayers ever get past the kitchen ceiling. But then she said, but we have to keep doing it, because if we don't take the time to say we're grateful, I'm not sure there would be a sense of gratitude in our lives. There was an etiquette columnist named Miss Manners, and one time she was bemoaning the fact that she said, people don't write thank you notes anymore. She hypothesized, I don't know if she's right, but she hypothesized that now we're just sensed that if we feel grateful, that's enough. We don't have to take the time to put it down on paper. And she said, but what we miss in that, and I think she's right about this, she said, sometimes we write thank you notes not because of what we feel, but because it's something we need to practice. And she said, if we write enough notes of gratitude, maybe we'll get a glimpse of Thanksgiving in our lives. I think she's right. I think that's what the takeaway of this story is. We're not going to figure out the psyche of this one who comes back and the 9 who don't. What we know is this guy had a practice of gratitude. And so on this day, like any day, he gives thanks. Sometimes gratitude is going to be something that comes easily. And sometimes it's going to slip through your fingers. It's not something we're going to feel every day, but it is something we can practice every day. And I know this, I'm a happier person when I'm grateful. I'm more at peace with myself when I'm grateful. I'm in more attentive spirit in my relationships when I'm grateful. I don't feel it all the time, but it's something we can practice every day.